Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Katie and today I am here to do the Omnivore Reader Book Tag. The Omnivore Reader Book Tag was created by Emma over at A Cup of Books. I will link her original video in the description box below. You should definitely go check it out. The idea behind the Omnivore Reader Book Tag, or the Omnivorous Reader Book Tag if you're the kind of jackass that likes to correct people's grammar, is you pick 4 genres or subgenres that you like to read from, try and keep them as diverse as possible just to make this a little more fun, and then you answer these 3 set questions for all 4 genres. Pretty easy. I like to read from a very wide array of genres, so I'm looking forward to getting into this. So the first genre that I chose, and I wasn't totally certain how to classify it, because it's basically like science nonfiction. Anyway, I did some Googling, and apparently it would be referred to as philosophy and insight. I don't know. I will link the article where I got the information from in the description box. It is defined as, these books are a close cousin of academic text, and many are published by university-affiliated publishing houses. This genre runs the gamut from traditional philosophy, Plato, Aristotle, Descartes, to scientific theories, Newton, Watson, and Crick, to analysis of scientific or cultural phenomena. So I do think that, yeah, the books I've chosen for that do kind of fall into that definition there. So we'll just start with the first question. What is your favorite book from this genre? Okay, so for me, I have a really hard time determining favorite books because it really just depends on my mood. My favorites could change from day to day. So basically, I went with something that I feel like I enjoyed reading, I got a lot out of, and I've read more than once. And that is Undeniable Evolution and the Science of Creation by Bill Nye. Bill Nye is very, very, very well known, especially among my generation because of Bill Nye the Science Guy. And this was great. I really enjoyed this. What this is kind of a long-form discussion of a debate that he had with the creationist Ken Ham, probably 6 or 8 years ago now. Well, yeah, probably close. Good God. I'm getting old. Anyway, I watched that debate several times and really enjoyed it. Usually debates kind of stress me out, but I enjoyed that one a lot, and so naturally I wanted to read his follow-up to it, and I've read it twice now. It is, well, it's Bill Nye. He's very good at taking concepts that might be a little bit more difficult, maybe you're not that familiar with them, and making them into more palatable forms. He really it helps you visualize what is actually happening instead of just giving you a ton of science jargon and telling you to figure it out. Really appreciate that about this book. I really enjoyed it. Question 2. What book are you currently / just finished reading from this genre? This one's a bit of a stretch because this is what I've finished reading most recently, and this was back in November. I needed a break after Nonfiction November, plus I took physics and calculus last semester, so I was just done. My brain was not happy. And then this semester I'm taking molecular biology and chemistry. So it's just not been a very good time to read this genre for me. But this is the one I finished most recently. It is, Physics of the Future, How Science Will Shape Human Destiny in Our Daily Lives by the Year 2100. I will link my wrap-up from Nonfiction November here, or probably in the description box too, because I think I talked about it quite a lot because I really enjoyed this. Michio Kaku is a physicist, and he basically looked at advancements that are happening in physics, how he thinks the next 100 or so years is going to go, and just kind of explains how things are going to change and what our daily lives will look like by the year 2100 based on how science and technology are progressing. It was very interesting. My favorite part was that he ended the book with a chapter of just like a day in the life in the year 2100. And it was really interesting and I really enjoyed it. So if you want to know more about my thoughts, or just more about this book in general, go ahead and watch that wrap up because I definitely delve into it more than I'm going to here. Okay, what book on your TBR from this genre do you think you will read next? So I have two here that I am thinking about reading next. Both of these are going to be on my spring TBR, and it's basically just because I'm in biology and stuff right now, so I'm trying to have books that are similar in theme to what I'm learning about. And my theory there is that it's going to help cement the knowledge so that I will do better on my finals. I don't know if it's going to work out, but that's what I'm doing. So the next book I'm going to read is either On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection by Charles Darwin. Does this book need introduction? Like, I feel like everybody's at least heard of it. I technically have read this book. However, I have never read it all in one go. I've read it over the course of like several years, reading bits and pieces and stuff like that. And then I've used it as like a reference for things. So I think it's time to just sit down and, you know, read it in one shot. The other option that I have is The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins. One, genetics is just something I'm interested in, and two, molecular biology discusses a lot about genes and, well, genetics and inheritance and things of that nature. So I thought maybe this would be a good accompaniment to go with that class. So for the next genre, I chose historical nonfiction. I thought I would do 2 nonfiction and 2 fiction, and then I'm probably going to have to do another round of this at some point. So for historical nonfiction, my favorite book in the genre currently, and this might change, is The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper by Hallie Rubenhold. I talk about this book a lot. It's just, Hallie Rubenhold did just such a great job learning about these women and kind of giving you an introduction to who they were. Instead of just Jack the Ripper's victims, they became living, breathing people that you really could get attached to. And I enjoyed it so much. I definitely want to read it again, and soon. For a currently reading or just finished reading from this genre, I just finished reading The Warmth of Other Suns, The Epic Story of America's Great Migration by Isabel Wilkerson. This was fantastic. If more time had gone by since I read this, this might have taken the spot of favorite historical nonfiction. It took me a really long time to get through this book because it's quite large. And then on top of that, especially like the first half, there's a lot of really horrible things happening, and they are described, and it can make it really hard to just like devour this book. You really have to read it in small portions. Give yourself some time to digest what you've read and kind of recover from some of the violence that has taken place, and then pick it up and continue. However, by the time I got to like the last 150 or so pages, I didn't want to put it down. It was just phenomenal. What Isabel Wilkerson did here is she looked at the Great Migration that happened in the U.S. post-Civil War, where Black Americans decided they couldn't live in the South anymore and migrated up to northern cities to try their luck elsewhere. She took 3 specific individuals from different places in the South, different experiences, different education levels, and just had them tell her their stories. And she interwove those stories with just more like of like the facts behind the migration and what was going on at the places that people migrated from, migrated to, in terms of politics, economics, etc. And because she just like wove that in between all the stories, it was just so easy to read and so easy to understand. I have like pages of notes that I took on this book, and I definitely want to read it again very, very soon. As far as my next read in the historical nonfiction genre, I am going to go with King, Kaiser, Tsar by Catrine Clay. This just sounds really interesting to me, and it has interested me for quite a while. The subtitle here is Three Royal Cousins Who Led the World to War. I am just interested, honestly, in European monarchy as a whole because it is so incestuous. It's just bizarre to think that the three leaders, basically, in World War I were cousins. Like, I don't know. To me, because when I think cousin, I think about people I grew up with, people that I knew quite closely, you know, things like that. But I don't think it was quite that way for them because they ruled different countries. So I'm sure, like, they had to have known each other. I'm sure at one point they were friends. So it just seems odd that they would end up fighting each other like this. And I'm really interested to see more background information on that. Okay, next genre. Historical fiction. I thought it was nice symmetry there to do historical nonfiction and then historical fiction. Favorite. This is another one where I'm having a really hard time coming up with a favorite. So I have tentatively decided that my favorite is the Six Tudor Queens series by Alison Weir. Catherine of Aragon was very good, Anne Boleyn was not very good. Jane Seymour was very good. Anne of Cleves was not very good, and then Catherine Howard was excellent. So it's been real hit or miss, but I've been greatly enjoying my time with the series. The final book, Catherine Parr, will be coming out this spring, I believe, and I am very keen to get to that one and be able to finish the series. For currently reading or just finished, I just recently finished The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi. This was so good. Oh my god, I listened to it on audio, and it was just, it was really interesting. I don't read as much historical fiction set in India, well, Asia kind of in general, as I would like to, as I probably should. And when I read books like The Henna Artist, I am reminded that it is so fascinating. And I genuinely want to read more in that setting. It's called The Henna Artist, so our main character, her name is Lakshmi, she is a henna artist, and she gets surprised by a sister she didn't know she had turning up at her house. And it's just kind of like her life dealing with that, and you get to see kind of how she came to be in the place she was at that point in time, and then just how having a sister show up just made her life difficult in places, but also better in places. And it was just a really great read. It does have a sequel coming out, I think, this year. And I'm not totally certain if I want to read it, because it's one of those where I don't know that it necessarily needed a sequel. And it's not totally a sequel, it's more like a companion book. So I'm kind of still undecided on that. I guess I'll make up my mind when it actually is released. Okay, for the next read in the historical fiction category, I am undecided. I know I want it to be a Sarah Waters novel, and I'm saving Fingersmith for last because everyone tells me it's their favorite by her, so I'm reading everything else first so I can get max enjoyment out of those before I read what is apparently her best novel. So I am between Tipping the Velvet, which I believe was her debut novel, and The Paying Guests. I don't really know much about either one of these. I don't really need to because everything I've read by Sarah Waters has been amazing. Okay, the last genre I have chosen is science fiction. Again, with that symmetry thing. I had the science nonfiction and now the science fiction. My favorite science fiction currently is the Expanse series by James S. A. Corey. I'm just having the best time with this series. It does start off very, very slow. It really does, because it's a big world that there's just like a learning curve with this universe. But the characters are really, really great. and the adventure is just next level. I really, really love this series. I've read the first 6 books, I think, and they're chunky. They're not short. It takes a while to get through them. I think I have 7 and 8. Yes, I have 7 and 8 on the shelf back there. So I will hopefully be getting to those soon. Maybe I'll throw one of those on my spring TBR as well. As far as currently reading or just finished goes, I've recently finished Next by Michael Crichton. I talked about this in my 12 Days of Bookmas wrap-up, so I will link that in the cards. And if you're curious to know more of my thoughts about this, you can check out that video. This was really good. It wasn't perfect. There were some things that kind of bothered me. But as far as the overall storyline goes and what Michael Crichton was trying to explore, I think he did an amazing job with this book. And lastly, my next read in the science fiction category. Again, I'm between 2. I won an ARC from Goodreads for Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I haven't read any Andy Weir yet, but I hear very good things, and I really liked the movie The Martian. So hopefully this will go well. So I might read this now. I'm not sure. It doesn't come out till May, so we'll see. Another one that I'm kind of debating on reading soon. This I just recently picked up. I think it released in January. It's The First Sister by Lyndon A. Lewis, and this is just something that I don't think I've ever read before. I don't know, one, the cover I love, and then I'll just read you a bit of the synopsis here. Part high-flying space opera, part twisty, compelling drama, and part topical social commentary, The First Sister will grab you from page 1 and refuse to let go, lingering in your mind long after the unexpected climax of its final chapters. So this might happen soon just because I'm really, really interested to find out more about it. And that was the Omnivore Reader Tag. I think this is such a unique idea for a tag. It's really simple, but you can mix it up and do it several different times over if you want to. Very simple to put together. So thank you, Emma, for creating such an amazing tag. I had a lot of fun doing it. I am going to tag a couple of people. Brittany from Literarily Smitten, because I know she desperately wants to do this tag, so there you go, you've been tagged. And then Noelle from Noelle 7 Pages, because she reads from a wide range of genres as well. Anyone else I was thinking about, I think, has already been tagged, so I'm just going to leave it at that. If you do want to do this tag, though, go ahead. I'm tagging you. You can feel free to do it and say I tagged you. So feel free to leave all your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about this tag? Do you want to do it? Is this something that you would be interested in filming? Or just go ahead and leave some of your favorite genres and maybe your favorite books in those genres. If you're new here and you like my content, subscribe. Stick around. I'd love to see you in my comments. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you soon. Bye.